Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Be a Movie Snob. We are coming at you straight up, interplanetarily, intergalactic. That's right. We are talking about the Beastie Boys today. That is where I'll stir fry you in my walk like a pinch on the neck from Mr. Spock. We're here to bring you some
laser light show
from Floyd. Guys, guess what season it is? Guess what season it is?
Winter.
Yes.
Oscar.
It is
Pert near.
Oscar Mayer Wiener season.
Awards.
Oscar Mayer Wiener season. Guys, my name's Seth. I'm joined by
Mariah.
the Bene Gesserit herself, Mother Superior. Oh, sorry, that's too much. And also,
I have no face tattoo. Come on.
they don't all have
Pat.
face tattoos.
I'm Pat.
Hey,
Hello.
Pat.
Preset Pat. Yes, we're starting the awards season. This is the Golden Globes are over. The nominations have not been announced yet for the Academy Awards.
But a little bird
But
told us what we might expect.
let's just be real. We kind of know at least 5 or 6 that'll get nominated. And since there's now 10 nominations, which I think is dumb.
It's more than 5.
It's so why? I get it. It's just advertising, but why? Well, but you know what, guys? We don't care how much Seth doesn't like the way things are done. No, our job is to be movie snobs, which is to critique the said award-winning movies. And
No
so you
matter
know what?
how many.
No matter how much we disagree with the premise or the concept or the fact that they rarely pick the best movie, that's not going to be the show. No. But to be a good movie snob, we will watch those movies and critique them and then complain how we told them they shouldn't have picked that one to be the best movie of the year anyways, because that's what it means to be a movie snob. I actually like this season because it kind of we do a lot of old movies on the show. We do a lot of old movies, and it's been great. But it's kind of fun to go back into the the right now.
The here and now.
The here and now, and sometimes into the future, because some of these movies literally haven't been released yet in the cities we live.
That's so annoying.
Makes it hard
my
to catch
goodness. Which is, I made a little rant video, not a rant video, but just kind of like how I see the Oscars and what their real purpose is. So I'll be releasing that. It's probably already out when this one drops. But guys, we have a movie, and we were trying to figure out how to pick the movies. So this one we just picked because we've all seen it. I think is what we kind of did.
We're going to start easy.
It's available to watch.
Easy and available.
Exactly right. And then I think the next few we're going to actually like go around in circle and pick which the next maybe nominated movie is. So there's like 2 or 3 that like for sure is going to be nominated because there's no way they spent that much time, Oscar baiting and that much money on promoting them that late in the year to not be.
Golden Globing.
Yes. And, their studios.
Yeah, now we know what the Golden Globes thought.
Oh my goodness. Can we talk about the Golden Globes for just a half a second?
Yeah.
On
that's
the
about
wall.
How much I watched of it.
On the wall, they had the studios and how many Golden Globes they won. And I thought that was the most perfect reality of what award shows are. And I thought that was like, even the Golden Globes are like, we know what we are. Let's just show it for what it really is. This is
We bought this many Oscars
right.
and Golden
Globes.
Globes.
And Ted Sarando sitting in like the front row, basically, at all these things now.
Oh,
It's bizarre.
It's why pretend anymore? Why pretend we're trying to pick out the best movie? We're not. We're trying to see which movie studio has a better marketing campaign. That's all we're trying to figure out here, guys. So that's what we're going to try to figure out. Which movies do we think are marketed the best for those Academy Award members to, not be, oh, hey, look, we have a surprise guest. Peekaboo. Hi, Kim.
They're saying hi to you.
I'm waiting.
She's saying hi with her hand.
Yeah. Pat doesn't actually let his wife speak out loud in public anymore.
She should be here for all of these.
She should.
She didn't want to watch this one this week.
Oh, that.
I gave her the option.
That is
She
the
didn't
least
enjoy.
surprising.
She didn't enjoy the first one.
For those of you listening, she's thumbs downing in the background, which is so great.
She judged before she even gave it a shot.
So much.
No, she gave
Yes.
Spoiler, part 1. There's a part 1 to this movie.
So she did at least give that one. Okay.
Yeah, and she was not into it.
Weird. I would say we'll talk about that more. Okay. I won't go there. Okay. Pat, I'm going to let you intro this one because I believe this is your favorite director of all time. Am I wrong on that? Or is he one of them? Or is he
You
the
are.
number one?
Oh yeah, easy in the like top 3, 4.
Yeah, for sure.
He is, and he's got number one in my heart with Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that.
This is Denis Villeneuve's 2024
Denny, you don't know what you do. Denis Villeneuve.
Dune Part 2.
Part 2.
But Denis Villeneuve. No, that didn't work. I tried to pull that one out. Dune Part 2, and it is on Netflix. No, Max. Whoa, it's on Netflix now, but it was released on Max. It is a follow-up, so yes, it's a sequel. But darn it, we know it's going to get nominated because it is that good. Okay, I'll start out there. That's not a hot take. It's just a fact, folks. It's just a fact. But before we get into more facts, we're going to do this section we call cold brews and hot takes. I'm not going to tell my beer because it's boring. But I'm also not going to go first because I'm going to make Pat go first because that's what we do on the show. We make Pat go first.
Put people on the spot.
Yep.
Well, I am actually drinking something slightly different this week.
Ooh.
Working my way through this new Belgium Costco pack, and I'm on Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA.
Oh, I almost picked that.
Haze, somewhat appropriate, I suppose.
Ooh, okay.
A lot of haze in this movie. So my hot take, which depending on who you, I guess, ask, isn't that hot, but to me, it's unforgivable that both Denis and Hans Zimmer are not likely going to be nominated. We know Hans won't be nominated for Oscars for a weird technicality, but the fact that Denis basically been left off all the best director lists up to this point is insane.
Oh yeah.
Did people forget this movie came out this last year? Was it released too early? I feel like there's just not it doesn't have a recency bias going for it. Because it's so...
I am getting so angry at this whole thing because I feel like we are supposed to be cheering for movies that are nothing to do with the year when movies that are excellent are forgot about or just not timed right, or they don't... It's a game that the public can't play along. We're just supposed to be fed this. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I gotta slow down there, but I'm with you 100%. Denis the freaking man. Like this movie. Oh, I just can't. I watched it and I did not think I was gonna like it that much the second time.
The hot take I flirted with, but I was not confident enough to really throw down. Best sequel of all time.
Oh, that is good.
It was a juicy hot take.
I mean, and I'm an Empire
What could have matched
guy.
my Juicy Haze?
I'm an Empire Strikes Back guy. But I love that hot take.
And we've got a lot of trilogies that had a wonderful middle, but again, like it's real good.
Oh yeah.
I flirted with that one, but I chickened out.
I like that a lot. Because mine was going to be something along. It's one of the few times in history where the sequel is better than the original, but the original is still darn good.
Yeah.
Like that's not a hot take because I think it's maybe just standard. I don't know.
Well, and maybe we'll get into this, but let you guys do your hot takes. But it's also like it is a sequel, and this movie stands alone in a lot of ways, but it also just runs right at the end of what we got from part one. And so it feels a little bit more like a Kill Bill sequel type thing, where it's just like you could imagine it as one long movie, except that it wasn't filmed like that. Like a lot of these things are nowadays. It was filmed separately, not all at the same time. And so that's where it's like somehow more a sequel, even though it feels so connected to the first one.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. What do you guys got? What do you got?
My hot take is that this movie makes me angry about the Oscars because it's so unfair.
No,
it really
We're
does.
Continuing the rant.
It is because I was already like so mad I couldn't watch The Brutalist anywhere. Like I was just trying to figure out how to watch The Brutalist. After it won Best Picture, I was like, okay, let's find it. Oh, it was released only in LA and New York, and it's not going to come out anywhere until maybe 2 weeks before, but they don't even know. People don't even know. They don't even know when it's going to be released yet because they haven't gave that information to us lowly people. It's still, unless you were there at like wherever it premiered, you don't have no chance to watch it. Meanwhile,
I mean, it's like a 3.5 hour movie that needs an intermission, so it's also going to be struggle maybe to find some theaters that are like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
And what happened to Civil War? A24 is like, nah, we're done with Civil War. We're going to move on to The Brutalist. And it's just the joke.
Yeah, that should have scored some acting noms.
The
If nothing else.
perfect joke at the Golden Globes was 2-time Holocaust survivor Adrian Brody is here. And I almost lost it because I'm like, yep, that's how you win an Oscar. That is the way to win an Oscar. Like you have to, and I couldn't handle it. I was like, this is, Nikki Glaser went on Howard Stern the next day, and the joke she said was,
I did see some of them.
did you see that? Oh, this is because she said this is the one I couldn't use at the Globes, but I did at Howard Stern. If Adrian Brody could go back in history and thank Baby Hitler, he would, because he does it. So because both of those nominations
His
are
career
because of him.
has been made.
His career has been made by Baby Hitler. It was so.
Oh.
Howard Stern couldn't help. He died on that one. He was. Oh,
Just a reminder: we
gosh.
are an anti. We're against Hitler and Nazis
Still.
Oh,
on
man.
this
Still
podcast.
anti-Nazi.
Oh, what
Holding firm on
Pat
that.
actually was thinking about you the other day because I sent you that thing where the can. It's like, other than like
yes.
hating Nazis, wine in a can is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I thought you were sending it to me because I like wine.
Well, I do. I thought
sometimes.
I thought it was great too.
Yeah.
So
Guilty.
my hot take is I wish the Oscars included comedies, epics to get Best Picture, and maybe because
Not in categories.
just as a chance, because they don't have a chance.
For
Last
Best Film.
year was the first time I'm like, whoa, Oppenheimer is actually like a big movie with a big budget and big stars, and it won Best Picture. Maybe there's hope that sort of thing can happen again. No, we're not going to have that happen ever again.
Well, not till
I
it
was
gets
a big
old
fan
that
of
the
last
other
year's
guy's
Oscars.
winning.
Yeah, and if you're not
I
shooting
feel
on
like-
film.
Trends change. It'll come back, and
We had some good.
one day the blockbuster will win again.
Did you know that Mel Brooks won an Oscar
For which?
For producing what?
for screenwriting The Producers?
Oh,
I love that. Like, comedies have no chance now. But The Producers won an Oscar, and now I have to live in this time where I can't even watch the movie that's going to win an Oscar. Yeah, that's my hot take.
I'd
Watching
give Mel
this
Brooks
movie
an Oscar.
made me
anyway.
hate the Oscars because it's so good. That's how good this is. It makes me hate the Oscars.
Okay,
Is that
Great.
a hot take, or is that just me being
it's
angry?
not really about the movie.
Oh,
It's pretty
it's
hot.
kind of about the movie.
Yeah. I'll allow it. Ryan, what do you got?
I'm also drinking a New Belgium, and I was avoiding the hazy, so I grabbed the Imperial. Ouch.
Ooh, brutal.
Heavy.
That's the brutalist right
Also,
there.
Delicious, but high in, ABV.
Again, appropriate. Imperial. The Imperium.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
You
the Voodoo Ranger looks like maybe he could be out in the desert.
Yeah,
Or
that
died out in the desert.
he's definitely wearing a still suit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his eyes already. Oh wait, we haven't got to that book yet.
Standard issue.
We haven't got to that part of Paul Atreides. Muad'Dib. Oh my gosh. Okay,
I don't-
guys.
Well,
I
what's your Wait, Mariah didn't even
Oh,
give
do
a
you have
hot
your
take.
take? Sorry.
My hot take is loosely based off of the best sequel kind of idea. But basically, knowing there will be a third, I'm kind of dreading the third because this was so good.
Except you got what's her name? The sister.
I know, and I even know some
Oh.
of the plot points that are going to happen, and I'm excited about it. But you just don't want
feels
like
tough.
the long goodbye,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that
No, I
I'm
hear
so
ya.
fearful of what they could mess up
As long
in
as
ending it.
Danny's involved, and first of
Yeah,
all,
Denny he can do it. I think he can do it.
and they're not. There's no ending unless he's got to pick his ending, because this is
There's a lot of
still
books.
in book 1. By the way, we're not even to book 2, and The Golden Path doesn't get revealed to like book 3. So we gotta, and then goes to book 9. So we're obviously not going to go through book 9.
No. And fun fact, he won't do more than one more.
Oh.
He says so.
So he'll just wrap up.
Yeah,
but with the opening for somebody else to do the rest if they want to. He said he would put little nuggets in there in case somebody wants to pick it up and roll with it.
Oh, that's I mean.
But he's not going to do any more than the Messiah.
Yeah, I think he's Dune Messiah.
Yeah,
which
is what you
sounds like that will be one movie.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
I think so.
And I'll be interested.
And it's in production, yeah? Or pre-production.
Loosely. He's working on stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't think... He said he's like, I got to make it good. So he's going to take his time. But Hans Zimmer's already working on music.
Well, isn't there like a time lapse between this and the next two? So he doesn't have to rush.
Well, we can get into that. There's kind of a lack of time lapses even in this one that there could have been.
Okay.
But I'm glad there weren't.
Yeah. You ready for this? I was ready to be like on the because I just watched A Complete Unknown as well, and I loved it, and I'm a Bob Dylan fan, and I'm like, oh yeah, Oscar, so good. I know it's not gonna win because let's just be real right now. It's not the kind of place where a Dylan biop is gonna win an Oscar right now. And as good as Timothy was in that, Timothée, when I watched this, I was like, this movie is so much more of a movie. Like I love, like they hit the time.
It's a movie.
Everything was perfect about, like, not perfect, but pretty darn good for A Complete Unknown. They hit that period right. They got the sounds right. They got the feel right. But this world building of Dune is one of the best, if not the best world building we've ever seen on film.
Yeah.
And how does that not get more love than, I'm sorry, a few old cars and an old guitar?
Well, and also, I mean, not just speaking about the world building on a, I mean, there's a lot of people that have read the Dune books and they're Dune people, but the majority of audiences who are going to be watching all the Oscar movies or watching the blockbusters haven't read the Dune books. I haven't read the Dune books. I didn't know the worlds that were possible. And I was even fearful of watching the first movie because I was like, well, I don't know what's happening. I don't know any of it. I'm going to be so lost because it's so complicated and there's so many books and, you know, it's just going to be way over my head. And they have made it so attainable and just, I mean, the world building, it's amazing.
By the way, I think this one
and it helps you figure it out. I mean,
Yes,
not all of
yes.
it, of course, but
I think this
you don't
one,
feel lost.
I don't understand how you guys can watch Dune 1 and understand it. Because Dune 1, I'm not even joking, because there's so many things that are like literally one or two scenes that they don't explain that are such a huge part of the plot.
Yeah.
But Dune 2, you don't really need to know who the King's Guard is. You don't need to know
Which
about...
is maybe why we all as a
Exactly
whole
right.
like the second one is because it didn't require as much knowledge. It didn't have to be over your, you know, there was just...
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's more attainable. Dune 1, I don't know how y'all watch it without reading the book. I literally don't, because there's so many things that...
It was harder to rewatch one.
Yeah,
me.
for sure, because
I still loved it, but
you don't
I was like,
know.
what's happening?
You don't, because you...
I think to me,
I got the gist.
Both of them
I
do
think.
this, but yeah, it's like, okay, you gave me enough. I know I don't have to understand all of this, but then part 2, we already had some building blocks again. But I don't think Denis talked about he wanted Dune Part 2 to be something you could watch if you hadn't watched the first one, and I kind of think that's possible.
Sure, I think so.
But it was just kind of more showing, less telling in general on part 2.
I think if you watched the last 5 minutes of the first one and then started in on 2, then you felt pretty good.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
I think you might have been like, why is Dave Bautista the way he is in part 2 if you didn't see part 1?
For real.
So angry.
Okay, let's talk about our reactions. And I do a quick shout out here. You know, having Elvis and Bob Dylan fight each other, I thought was a pretty cool thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious that we went from one actor went from
We are in the sim. Come on.
Elvis to Fed. Oh, what was it?
Fed
Rotha. And then you got Paul Atreides going to Bob Dylan. And I don't know if you guys watched, but the Bob Dylan was supposed to be recorded like when Elvis was supposed to be recorded. So they're both practicing songs. I mean, so this is hilarious. One's singing Bob Dylan, one's singing Elvis, and then they go into their costume and go fight on freaking Arrakis. I mean, it's just hilarious. It's just this weird anyways, the life they live. Okay, reactions. You guys both saw this before, so this is your second time watching it, I assume.
Second for me.
Yeah. What was your reactions this time? Let's start with Pat, and then we'll, because I'm going to dork out in the book stuff here. So here we go. Pat, where'd you go? By the way, can we talk about how I'm dorkier than Pat for once? This is like the one time.
I don't think it's the one time.
Okay, that's fair. But it's pretty remarkable. I didn't get into like sci-fi books until literally 2 years ago, and I've just been hitting it hard. Well, maybe 4 years ago.
If Dune was a graphic novel, I might have got into it.
Oh, dude,
sooner.
I went to Dune.
For a video game.
Every Thrawn book I've read already. Like, I'm in, guys. I no longer care about being cool. It's over. I'm in.
My friend group destroys me on all the sci-fi literature stuff. I'm pretty bad about it.
I mean, you were the snob,
pretty bad.
Now
but
I'm the dorky sci-fi.
I mean, if it exists in film, I'll watch it.
That's my man. That's why he wins every time, Mariah.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing the podcast. That's why it's not a book podcast, Seth. 'Cause we're watching movies.
Yeah, if this was book of the month or something, we wouldn't be doing the three of us.
It's like the Jim Gaffigan joke. You know what I liked about the movie? No reading.
Yeah. All right, well, some subtitles.
Okay, Pat, reaction.
I was most impressed this time seeing them build Paul's like tragic trajectory from all these angles, and like between Chani and Stilgar and Lady Jessica, and then even a little bit Gurney, you see everyone looking at Paul from these different perspectives, and Paul fighting it internally and knowing he's going to cross this line. And it's this, the movie like tricks you because the bad guys are clearly so bad that you're like, well, yeah, I don't like them.
Yeah.
But in order to defeat them, Paul like is sort of forced into betraying who he wants to be. And it's just like how they do that. And the zeal of like Stilgar pushing it and Chani trying to ground him and Lady Jessica scheming. It's just like the ingredients of it, again, to make it pretty simple for people to understand what's going on, but also subvert all these expectations of like the hero's journey. I was just kind of blown away by that in this movie.
Yeah. I feel like
excluding all the visuals, which I was like, oh, right. They did that awesome.
Thing you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Can we?
And the score. There's so
by
many
the
things
way, did you think about
it's so good.
The reveal? We have to talk about the spoilers. The Darth Vader reveal is the reveal in this is as good. Maybe not as good because that's pretty. That's like that changed.
Oh,
cinema. But the reveal in this, which you didn't mention in the way you said it, because that's a big reveal in the book. Like that's, and then when they and they don't quite build up to the reveal
that it's
as
her
much.
dad. Which reveal?
Yes.
Or that
who Granddad is?
Yeah.
That he's
spoilers
a
are right.
Harkonnen.
So many spoilers.
Sorry, so many sparklers. So this is like when they come out with that, and they don't build it as much as the Darth Vader scene.
She really doesn't seem very fazed by it either.
She's a Bene Gesserit. She already knew. So
well,
she said she didn't know very
until she drank
the stuff.
Yeah.
But once you get to be that
life.
once you know everything, you don't act surprised anymore. It's kind of like you can't be like.
I think
she
like Paul just had to fold it into the next iteration of a plan, right?
Yeah.
It's all about like what gets us power, essentially.
Yeah.
But wild. And even that, it felt they built all this stuff in a way that in a different movie, in a movie done more poorly, it would feel so twisty for twist's sake, all that stuff. But because they already queued up like Lady Margot, I think, got pregnant by Feyd-Rautha. Like, there's all this Bene Gesserit like breeding program stuff happening, and so you go, oh. And then what they don't even tell you in the movie, which is wild, is that the first Reverend Mother, Charlotte Rampling, I forget her name, is the mother, which isn't in the movie. We don't actually learn that, but like
the mother,
Grandpa and Grandma are in the room
that's why.
at the end.
Yeah, that's believable.
He yells at Grandma and he stabs Grandpa in the neck.
Yeah,
and you're like, this is a wild family,
boy.
And that's not as wild as the book, because in the book, it's not Paul Atreides who kills Grandpa.
Oh yeah,
We'll talk about that later, though.
it's
Yeah.
it's just I think I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Me
for ways
too.
We can get into.
Yeah,
I love what they did.
Me too.
In this
I'll-
version.
yeah. Okay, Mariah, you got to do your, because I'm
You're gonna
seaming
react
here.
for days.
Yeah, I'm freaking out here.
I think that it took a second watch for me, because the whole time in the first watch, first of all, you're in the theater, as I was. So it was figuring out the story. I was just kind of like following along, like, oh, this is cool. And I didn't pick up on the foreshadowing. I didn't see what he was doing or what he was going to be doing. I didn't like... I still saw him as a hero, not as the
The Messiah.
the thing he's becoming or choices he's making. So there's that piece of it. It was I got to pick up so much more on like the subtle, like, this is a sign that this is going to happen, or this makes more sense. Like, okay, this isn't as straightforward, good versus evil kind of story anymore. And then also just the whole sandworm writing. It's the coolest.
Which is
And just
impressive that it's cool, because
And then
I always know how they're going to do it in movies. Oh,
And just the fact that Denny like made drawings and storyboards to make this happen. Like, this is like, oh, I'm gonna just sketch this and we're just gonna make it.
Yeah.
And then they didn't really
My one
make it. Like,
Yeah,
they didn't know what they were
thing
writing.
about that, is so in the book, it sounds like there's not a ton of information about how it all worked. A couple points, and then they do show you how they get on a sandworm.
yeah.
They never show you how they get off a sandworm.
Yeah. How do you dismount this thing?
In the book, they never tell you how to get off either. to be fair,
Which is one of those, like, because Lady Jessica's like strapped to it in that little cocoon thing. Do they just jump off? The sandworms don't seem to just stop. Like, and so there's this funny thing where it's like, hey, cool, like, getting on is crazy and epic. Wait a minute,
Yeah.
how do they all disembark?
It's not important. It's not important. I mean,
Doesn't matter,
it's sand. You
but I
just
think that was
jump
funny.
and roll with it, and then it's fine.
They do. So what I liked about the movie is they showed that they open the flaps so that where the sandworms breathe, which is usually covered, which is what keeps them above the sand.
Yeah.
And so they shoot. So all of us are like, "Oh, that was perfect."
Yeah.
and then the writers each can control them at different ways. And I think it's, I don't know if they've, I don't even remember if this is in the movie, where the sandworm comes behind Paul and stops at Paul's command, and he's not riding him. Do they have that in this movie?
No,
Okay, sorry. So
there
that's
is a
in the
moment.
first movie he stops.
Yeah.
Because Paul's running away onto like the rocky area, and it stops, and we get him looking in the eye of Shai Hulud.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So I guess we do see him stop. We do see him stop.
Yeah,
one
so that
time.
was like the
in the
first time.
first
It's like,
movie.
oh,
Yeah.
he is
Like,
the
boy, they're
chosen
having
one.
like a staring contest right now, and then it gets kind of drawn away by the rhythm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which, but yes, Pat, I also second your soundtrack. The score, kind of.
Oh, so
I mean, wow,
so good.
it gives you
All right,
the
Seth.
funnest vibes.
Oh man, guys, you
Putting
ready
a
for
quarter
this?
in you.
Don't get me
Putting a quarter
started.
in you. Just run.
All I could think about is how
The
good
Oscars.
Harry Potter. No, positive. I'm going positive for once.
Okay.
All I could think of is how good Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and the first two C.S. Lewis books.
Oh, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, the first two. And I
Chronicles of Narnia.
Chronicles of Narnia. Thank you. And I kept thinking, this is exactly the same. The people who are making this care so much about it that they meticulously picked and moved things around. Like the internet is so happy with the choices they made because the person who kills the uncle, the grandpa, is the unborn child in Paul's mom. She's like 5 or 7 or something, and she's the one in the book who kills Aaliyah.
Little homicidal toddler situation.
Well, she's pretty schemy in the womb already.
Yeah, and they had to write that in because in the book she's already out. And she's telling Paul what to do as a 5-year-old, and all the Fremen are like, she's a demon.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, because it'll be cool because she also drank the tree of life or the water of life
because she was in it.
She knows memories of all her heritage,
which is why
so it's like this weird genius.
So she comes out knowing because her mom drank when she was pregnant.
Which is why the other Mother Superior said, "What have we done?" when she drank it pregnant, because she was pregnant. She didn't know, and that's why. Because then Aaliyah becomes a Reverend Mother before she's born.
I just gave this.
And so, so that was
a detail like her being able to talk to her own mother.
Yeah.
Is how you, in theory, know why Lady Jessica is able to talk to the other Reverend Mother at the end.
Ooh.
Because it's her mom.
Yes.
You can speak to your lineage.
So
if you have the water of life.
And not only that, you speak to all of them all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to control who you speak to.
You got to turn somebody off.
So, and if you're watching,
the secret
we haven't brought
this
up yet, but I am watching, of course, the Dune series on HBO now as well.
I haven't started watching it yet, but I trust him. The writer.
I'm ready to start it.
So
one of the writers of this was the showrunner of that, and then he was like, "Oh, we're making Dune 2? Like, I'll jump off the show and go."
So
Dune 2.
the problem, there's no problem with the show. I mean, there's some problems with the show. It's not as good as the movie, but it's still really good. The show is actually Frank Herbert's son's novels that were prequels to the original ones. So I actually haven't read them, but as soon as I watch the show, I'm like, well, yeah. Of course. Like it's
the same vibe.
Well, and it shows because it's like the beginning of the Bene Gesserit starting to do the Reverend Mother stuff, and so it shows how people can't control their ancestors talking to them at the same time. So, and then that'll be apparent later. Like, I'm so stoked, by the way, that they got Anna Taylor-Joy to play Aaliyah. She's got the perfect like psycho vibes, in the best way. Like this pretty girl that you think can go psycho at any moment.
Well, yeah, like Austin Butler.
Perfect.
Like, he was amazingly cast.
He just got playing Elvis, and he went to Fade Rotha. What a stud!
Yeah,
what a stud! When you have to go up against Batista. And you have to be the badass, and you pull it off. Well, how did he do that?
And even to me, his choice to do the Stellan Skarsgård voice, because he's like, oh, he probably grew up around the Baron.
Yep.
That shouldn't have worked.
No, it shouldn't have.
And it was like pretty good. I was like, yeah, I'm into it.
Oh,
and
I was so.
But it could have been so dumb.
So dumb.
For him to be like this dumb impression.
Dialect.
It's cool.
Whoever his dialect coaches are or have been, they made a lot of money off of this guy.
Same dialect coach that did Timothy Chalamet in Completely Unknown.
Oh,
so there you go.
No way.
Yeah, so that's the Bob Dylan thing too. Yeah, so good. So I appreciated the plot choice changes that they did because I thought it was so much better on film and they don't have to explain anything. Because there's like a whole group of people that they aren't explaining on this. Like they're not explaining why spice is important really at all, which is hilarious. Like
you just know that it is.
Yeah, because it's for the navigators of the ships.
You really get the idea that
it helps people live longer.
That the lack of water is the more important thing than the spice.
But that's only on Arrakis.
Well, it helps them do celestial navigation.
Yes,
but for the most part, we've been on Arrakis, so that's what we're focused.
But I'm just telling you, it's hilarious because why does the whole universe care about Arrakis?
Because of the spice.
But why do they care about the spice?
We don't know.
Because we do know.
Navigate
we
the universe.
do know because it's the only way people can go from it's the only way that the world is connected. So the emperor can't be emperor because then there's no way to travel between systems. It's not like Star Wars where everyone can just drive a ship. They need these super hyper focused navigators to get between worlds. So without the spice,
and they have to be high on spice to get them there.
100%. And so without the
did the 84 Dune shows a navigator? It's wild.
It's wild. Yes, it's great
because they've getting all deformed, and it basically becomes a weird big space worm.
Yeah. Oh well, that's okay. That's some pre. That's also
is that an allergic reaction to spice?
No,
they don't all do that.
It's actually,
but it does. It looks like a silly worm. And he's like,
yes, yeah. Speaking of silly worms, it's going to get real weird in the next few books.
Well, I think that might be why Denny was like, okay, I'll do this one more. And then the rest,
but I think
I don't know how you make that into a movie. And so someone else is welcome to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do
that.
But
I will do this next one.
Yeah, once they get into Paul's kids, it's going to be weird.
I think, to me, that's a memorable thing about the early Dune because it's so weird and it doesn't really help the overall story. What is funny is we're told spice is important. Mm-hmm. Past that, it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, I didn't get a backstory on the spice really, or pick up on it, or care. I don't know.
We do. Yeah, we do see how it's impacting Paul.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's sensitive to it.
Yeah.
And so that's what helps him have this sight. And otherwise, you kind of go, "Oh yeah, people said spice is important, so okay."
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's like this weird thing. It's like it doesn't matter, but it just. They told me it matters.
Yeah.
And so that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
So I
don't question a lot of things in movies. It's that's what they said.
And that's what movies are great about. You don't have to know the thing. Let's just be real. Whole thing about Back to the Future. You don't care about why
I have
there.
Yeah.
Why a DeLorean?
Why do they?
The other thing I like about both the spice, we're showing it kind of trip out Paul, and they talk about there's basically sand, desert ghosts probably again because people get like high out there. Like there's all these things that you the movie introduces as a way to go, yeah, all this mythical stuff or mystical stuff probably not really that real, right? Like the Bene Gesserit planted
everybody's
this Messiah
just
story.
Tripping out there.
For real,
Paul's kind of tripping on drugs.
Yeah.
And so there is this great as the audience member, you kind of go, well, I kind of believe in Paul because look at him doing this stuff, but I'm also being shown that I shouldn't really believe in this. Mm-hmm. And it takes you along in a way that you can kind of almost justify anything that's like otherworldly as like training or drugs or whatever. And so I thought that was just so well done. Mm-hmm. That the movie has mystical elements in a way, but also you could go, none of that's real. Paul's just super smart and logical, and he's thinking through scenarios. And maybe when he's kind of tripping on acid, he feels like he can do it better. But it's still just him being
he was just brought
trained
up, right?
as like a mentat.
Yeah.
Right. He stuff we didn't see too is he's been training with like the mentats.
Yeah,
for the human computers for a long time.
That's the one thing they barely mention is the mentats, and the mentats are a big deal in the book. But they
filmed a bunch of it,
but
they cut it.
Well, I understand why, because you don't really need to know hey, we have a Spock next to us all the time, because that's what everyone would think now. Because
that's cool, but it wasn't necessary for the movie.
And in the book, 100% necessary, because then the plot points go together. But if you don't even know what spice does, then we don't need to go into the mentats. But
tangent.
So the other thing that was a really, I think, a good change for where we are today, and because of the actress chosen, was Chaney. She's totally different in the movie than she is in the book. In the book, she trusts Paul, and she knows that he's doing things.
She's a believer.
She's more of a believer. She's not as much of a believer as Stilgar.
They're basically all believers in the books.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? It's not really
there isn't a lot of questioning.
No, but because it's Zendaya,
everyone.
It's more fun that she's not a believer and going against the Mother Superior. It's a more fun.
Well, and it also enables her to have a bigger part which she didn't in the book, right?
No, she's a huge part. And actually, the other part that's interesting is in the book, because in the movie, Paul just says, "You know I love you," right? Like he says one line. Mm-hmm. In the book, it's a whole like 3 pages. Like, I will love you. You will have my children. I will marry her.
Oh yeah, the whole.
She will mean nothing to me, and I will never give her children. Like he has a whole.
Well, I
like,
think that was a big Lady Jessica speech. Is like the last speech of the book to her. Like,
yes.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Yes. And
You will be seen as just as important as anybody.
History will show you are more the wife than she is. You're just marrying the emperor's daughter, so that for the political move of it. But in the book, it's like, hey, you know I love you, right? Cool. I mean, the movie is like, hey, you know I still love you, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go marry her.
You're okay with this.
Which felt like this great.
Don't
like
go
this
in
is
a
the
huff
last
and get on a sandworm.
Well, or just like, I'm going to do this thing and I want you to know this before I do it.
Yeah.
Because there's kind of no going back. I love that stuff.
The other thing that's awesome
It's so
about the
good.
movie that's not in the book, Fade Rotha is not that big in the book. Fade Rotha is just not as important in the book as he is in the movie. And because you have Austin Butler and he's a psychopath, like I barely remember Fade Rotha in the book. That's because the real battle is not against Fade Rotha, it's against the grandpa. Like that's the real battle because it's all a battle. It's such a mind game.
It's the side plot that the 2 nephews are just kind of fighting to be the heir or the one that takes over for him, right?
And I don't even remember in the book that Fade Rotha was the other possible person to be the Messiah, Golden Path, whatever you want to, go.
Well, he was meant to be the father of the actual one.
Yes,
because Paul was supposed to be a girl.
Yes, exactly.
And
right.
he was gonna marry Fade Rotha, or breed with Fade Rotha, and that would be the actual. Well, that's so many names. The Elisa Al Gaib of the Bene Gesserit. I forget what it's called.
Yep. And because in the books you don't know that
quick. I can't remember what it's called.
The fact that you just spit out all of those words is impressive to me because I'm like, I'm not going to bother learning any of this.
So hard.
Yeah.
Did you practice a lot before we started?
Well,
I mean, I listened to the movie.
Yeah, the nice thing is I listened to the audiobook, so I got a lot of pronunciation. Because if I had to read this thing, I don't think.
Because I wasn't going to watch the movie and then repeat words as I'm watching it.
It's not going to happen.
So that would make me look kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seth, you also keep saying Mother Superior, which I believe is a Catholic nun hierarchy, as opposed to Reverend Mother.
Freudian slip there. Let's just be real.
Yeah. I don't want our commenters to go crazy.
That's true. But we know I am the only time, ironically enough, that I'm trustworthy for pronunciations and terms is when we're doing Mandarin Chinese movies.
Don't worry, Seth's got this one.
It's Zhang Yimou. Just pronounce it right. Oh my gosh.
Can you guys? I'd be curious to just hear you comment on like some memorable moments, scenes, whatever character things from the movie. Because I have a few that I'm just like, oh, that's so cool how that worked out.
So when I think about this movie, I can't help to visualize the sandworms and make it not look cheesy. I'm so impressed with because it's such a weird thing, and we're gonna get into the sand trout later and all that weird stuff. But to have the worm with the water drowning and having all of it is so, let's just be real, goofy.
Oh yeah.
That it takes someone special like Denis and his team to make it look legit.
Well, yeah, you're kind of picturing Beetlejuice sandworms,
right?
And then,
yes,
which are probably the best sandworms we've had.
By the way,
yeah,
that's totally ripping.
There's nothing wrong with a sandworm.
No, and it's a nod to this book.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And so
but I think those sandworms are better than the '84 Dune sandworms.
Sure.
Don't spoil it for me. I haven't seen the '84 sandworm.
You know what I haven't watched yet, Pat, that I hear is really good is the Dune sci-fi series. That's pretty close to the book.
Yeah, I heard that was pretty good. Yeah.
I started watching a little bit, but I didn't have time to watch the whole series, of course, by the time
like the Sci-Fi Channel series?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it got great reviews, unlike David Lynch's movie.
No.
Yeah, wah, wah.
Takes a specific viewer.
It really does. I mean, we all watched the Christmas special of Star Wars too, so that was that was hard. And we watched the first Star Trek movie. That was hard too. So that was my
More than once.
That was one of my main things. I was like, oh, how are they going to make the sandworms not look dumb? And they killed it. And I was so impressed.
Yeah. I think the thing visually for me that I thought was so amazing was the pool of the water of life or whatever it is. And the fact that they're all just scraping and for, recycled sweat to keep everybody hydrated and alive. And then there's just these huge pools, pretty pools. Nobody's supposed to have any of that. It's amazing to me, just like the fact that the whole setup, the whole caves and how they make this beautiful, simple place. But that's
the Seaches.
But it's so sacred, and I don't know. That was such a cool effect to me. But yeah,
Pat.
of course, the
I'm so happy
sandworm.
you got all the vocabulary.
I
I'm
have
so
none
impressed,
of the
by way.
vocabulary
I
at
am
all.
So impressed.
Like that worm in the sand. That
Yeah.
was so cool.
And Pat's like the Seaches. I'm like, oh, that's so
Sure.
great. That's so.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
Pat-
people with the blue
Pat,
eyes.
tell
and
us, tell us what you're so excited about. I'm so interested to hear. What are you so excited
Well,
about?
I had a few things. There's weird ones where I'm like, Lady Jessica using the voice and being badass, while also this is the other thing where I think the fact that she is talking to her daughter, but from outside appearances, she's just kind of a crazy woman.
Mhm.
I love that is a version of reality to people in the movie. It's like, that lady's crazy.
Yeah.
When in fact,
Or that
again,
Paul's-
from
or
the
that-
movie's perspective.
And then that whole conversation with her and Paul, and he's like, well, tell her this and tell her that.
Yeah.
And like, what did she say now?
Also, in that,
That's
Paul's
from the book,
just
by the way.
like,
That's
I love it.
yeah, that he's just like, wait, my baby sister is like talking to you? That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. But I loved all that. And then similarly, I just really like the voice. So when Paul says silence to his grandma at the end, there's so many mirror things too. I think if you rewatch one
Yes.
and then two, mirrored scenes, mirrored character moments,
Yeah.
and you go, what a cool connective tissue thing.
Mhm.
And then the thing we haven't talked about, well, Javier Bardem's acting as Stilgar is so good.
I
He
love
is
how
like
just
the Fremen to me.
I just love how committed he is to the whole thing. He's the one. He is it. This is
all the little
Oh, that's like him to say it's not him, and
but, which is
That
like,
makes
you,
me even
you
think it's even
understand
more
the
him.
fanaticism.
he's the comic
I
relief
love
too, by
it.
the way. He's also the
Yeah.
comic relief.
Yes.
yeah,
It's
he
a
is.
tough role because you both see him as a wise person and a fool
Yeah.
in the same time, and you respect him. Like, it's like, I don't
Whereas
see him
John
as
Batista,
any less.
you're like, he's just a fool.
Oh yeah, he
With
has a real big
rage.
fall from the first one. But yeah, Stilgar is like, yeah, exactly. He's comedic relief, he's a wise advisor, and he's a foolish fanatic all in one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's charismatic the whole time. And then the thing we didn't talk about yet, which we should from a camera perspective,
Here we go.
is the Gady Prime introduction to Federalta, where we are in infrared,
Heck
and
yes.
it is weird
Yes.
and cool, and you're like, wait, what?
Because it's a
Yeah.
black sun, right? That's the concept.
Black
Yeah.
Sun.
That's
Yes.
so-
Well,
Which
and the
apparently in
whole
the
black and
book-
white thing too. The whole battle in the, or is that in the first one?
no, that's what he's talking
No,
about.
no,
Oh,
that's
that is.
the gladiator part.
Gladiator
Oh,
part.
the
yeah.
gladiator. Yeah.
Yeah, which because when in the Gady Prime, the Harkonnen homeworld's sun,
Mm-hmm.
a black sun, it bleaches all color from the
Yeah.
world, and then you kind of go, oh, that's cool, because that's like, I don't know, just to me that world building stuff was like, why would these people be this way? Why are they so pale?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, oh yeah, there's like, melanin doesn't like work in the same way, or
Yeah.
Melanin?
They
Melatonin.
were saying though
What's
that
the-
the,
what's the
the whole
melanin?
thing is like a metaphor, because in reality you couldn't live like that. Like there has
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be like
you need to have
so, but it worked
sun.
so well. It just visually was amazing.
I remember when I first saw it and they very strategically put like blue on her like glasses, Lady Margot. So you'd be like, oh wait, we're not black and white. There is color in the frame, but like this world, and like you see the transition from interior to exterior.
Yes, that's the best.
And the other thing that came up in like the fun facts I have is Denny was apparently talking to the producer and like, hey, we have this idea, but there's like no going back from this. We don't salvage this footage to color if we do it. And they're like, right? Because
Right.
there's not, it's not like they're post-processing regular footage. It's like,
Sure.
Commitment.
you only get this.
Yeah.
I love that. I
And-
love that so much. By the way,
Yeah, and it's like, cool.
can we talk about the cinematographer? This is my man. You know why?
He also did Arrival, right? And other things.
Yeah, yeah.
Or no,
yes.
was that the...
Yeah.
No, he did. He did Rogue One, Zero Dark 30, Lion, Dune 1, of course. Also, he the Batman, but he did The Creator, which all of us wedding videographer dorks are like, he's using the same camera I'm filming this podcast on. Like, that's so cool. Like, so like it's like, it's like a sub $5,000 camera that he used for a major motion picture, just because he's like, oh yeah, it's got really good low light, so we're gonna use it. And then and so here he is shooting in infrared too. So yeah, he's willing to do whatever. He's willing to do all the crazy with it. And oh, by the way, he did The Mandalorian, like some of the best 3 episodes of the Mandalorian as well. So yeah, big fan of Fraser here. So
Yeah,
thanks,
he's awesome.
Greg Fraser, killed it.
No, it wasn't him that did.
No, he didn't do a rhyme.
Denny brought somebody with him, though, that did almost all the other stuff with him. I can't remember which person it was.
Oh, he did Foxcatcher too. That movie was crazy.
Zero Dark 30, another Oscar winner in there. Foxcatcher.
A lot of Oscar bait in here. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of Oscar bait. That's kind of ridiculous. Anyways, yeah. I always want to say this too. I am so happy to have a movie about sci-fi that isn't afraid to stay serious. I'm still, as much as I love Thor Ragnarok, I'm still a little mad at Thor, because Thor was the one like serious Marvel movie that still felt like Shakespearean old school. And then they like, we want to be Guardians of the Galaxy too. So that was kind of like the bummer. But this is so good because it's so serious, and it doesn't, and it needs to take itself so serious because of what it is, and the books take itself so. I just think it's a good mix of the.
It is
feel.
serious.
Yeah, they're not. They don't give.
These are
into
real
what's going
people,
on. These are
real other
real
worlds,
aliens.
and this is serious stuff. We need to know what happens.
Well, yeah,
next
because
to Paul.
it's so baddie if you don't do that, right?
Yeah,
like
yes.
like Lady Jessica talking to her fetus is insane if you don't take everything seriously.
Sure, Pat. You say that about every mother who talks to their baby, wouldn't you? Jeez, Pat. So
kisses
Well,
them on
sorry.
the mouth.
jeez,
too.
Louise.
That's a
Pat,
great point.
Crying out loud.
That her fetus talks back is
there we
crazy.
go. Okay, you
Yeah.
might try to save
That's
yourself
the crazy
there.
part.
I'm like, it's called a healthy
You're right, you're right.
relationship, Pat.
Chat
To talk to the
away,
baby.
but if
you
they
gotta
start talking back
Pat,
to
you
you.
have to talk
I
to your
talked
children.
to my wife's
Just-
belly. Yeah,
Just
no, I
talk
did.
to your
Yeah.
children just once, okay?
He did, but he did it in a Kermit voice.
Kermit
Yeah.
the Frog here. Mom, why is
It was good.
Kermit there? Oh,
It
my
helped them
gosh.
be good, weird
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
But yeah,
for sure.
that's my stuff.
That's good
my
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Let's
takeaways.
move on and keep going
Are we
to
fun facting?
fun facting right now, y'all. Let's fun fact it
There's
up.
good ones in here.
Oh, there's a lot of good ones.
I love that. My favorite ones revolve around Austin Butler.
Okay.
I think the fact that he had a voice dialect coach to make him sound like Stellan Skarsgård, like he actually actively did this,
We know you can do Elvis, but try this.
Which
guy.
is probably really hard on his
and the fact
throat.
that he is normally a method actor and dives into this and had to deliberately separate himself like from the cut to going home because he's like, there's no way I would have relationships if I was trying to like immerse
Be a
myself in
sociopath
this
all the time.
character, this psychopath.
Black teeth.
and,
alone.
like,
Yeah, I
come
think
in
I
and
saw he'd stay like 15% Fade Rotha, you know, when after cut,
Yeah.
just so he kept a little bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
My-
but had to rein it in because that is how he actually likes to do things. But as this character, there's no way
There's
you
no way you
take
can
that
do that
home with you.
and just murder your children. Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
you
rough.
shouldn't do it.
My favorite moment of Fade Rotha is when he looks at the Paul Atreides, the Atreides, who's not drugged up,
Mm-hmm.
and he looks up at his uncle and he smiles. That is like the best moment of the whole character arc of who is Fade Rotha. And it's such a perfect. Anyways, I was so
Well, yeah.
impressed with
And
the whole
speaking
thing.
of that,
That whole gladiator thing where he looks down and he's like, happy birthday. And like, you know,
Yeah.
these guys are not.
let's see the
it's
real
so
you.
cool.
And
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is great.
and
we like him because he's so he's a honor bad guy.
Yes.
Like, he still cares about
honor bound,
honor bound
sociopath
bad guy. So
is
he's still
at least
he's not
interesting.
despicable. He's just evil.
Yeah.
he's pretty despicable. Testing his knives on his servants is
No, that's just
odd.
evil. I don't think that's despicable. If you lied about it and said like, no, my brother.
Oh,
did
it's
it.
not
You know what I mean?
despicable.
It's
I see.
different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
There's
But even
difference.
that
It's
gets into this like
integrity, though.
echoing thing. There's
Yeah,
a
well.
funny Red Letter Media breakdown of like the Star Wars, the prequels, and there's a shot of George Lucas go, you know, it echoes or it repeats or something, and they play it for laughs. But honestly, in this, I think Denny between part 1 and part 2 does all these wonderful echoes and callbacks, and so when he kills the Atreides guy, he's like, "You fought well, Atreides,"
Mm-hmm.
and he means it. And then when Paul kills him, he's like, "You fought well, Atreides," and it's like this cool, just these moments, these parallel moments with totally different meanings and contexts is so cool in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the screenwriting, like, I don't even think he's going to be nominated for adapted screenplay, and he should.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
When you have this much fan base
Yeah.
that like basically worship this book, and you kill it,
Yeah.
like I think
The fact
Harry
that he
Potter,
nailed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Harry Potter, Chronicles of Narnia, and again,
And he not only did he nail it, but he made
They
it
should win
amazingly
Oscars.
watchable for the rest of us, which
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Unless you're my
though
wife.
it's the right equation.
unless you're Kim, is that what you said?
yeah, unless,
unless you're my
yeah, but she wasn't gonna like it no matter what. I think the
No,
other
she's a tough
fun
one.
fact thing that I really loved, and which is also a testament, and like maybe Denis didn't need a nomination because of the people that loved him so much for doing it the way he did it, is Steven Spielberg saying it was the best sci-fi he's ever seen.
Whoa!
And Christopher Nolan is also obsessed with it. Like they are just like, I mean, there's this whole speech where Steven Spielberg is like, it takes place in the desert, but it's all about water. And like the fact that the fun fact is the fact that they like comb the desert, which makes me giggle every time
Every
I
time
think.
you think
They
about
actually have
Spaceballs.
They have a sand crew that goes in there. Like you guys have to like intentionally walk in certain areas because like I picked this part of the desert because of the way it looked. And wherever you walk, we're gonna have some guys come in overnight and smooth this back out again.
So
like,
good.
so every time I
so
read that, I
good.
was like
Yeah,
combing
it's
the
insane.
desert. Oh my gosh, that's
This movie is
yeah.
a lot of work.
Although
Yeah.
I do have to say, Christopher Nolan also loves the Fast and Furious series. I don't know how.
Well,
That's
he
his
makes
guilty
good
pleasure.
I
movies,
leaned
but
into
his
Steven
taste,
I
Spielberg
don't know.
more than Chris Nolan. I was like,
I
well,
kind
but
of love
really.
parts of Fast and Furious, so I'm cool with it.
Tokyo Drift was dope.
But I'll let Pat. You can take over for the fun facties beyond that.
Well, another one I did see was related to Austin Butler and doing the Stellan Skarsgård. So apparently they did like a Zoom script read through, and all the actors are like, "Yeah, you're doing it." And then Austin Butler like came in like with the voice, and everyone's like, "Oh, we gotta like act for real." Like this guy's bringing it. Like, so I thought that was pretty fun. They're like, "Oh, I can't mail this read through in. Like, we gotta
Yeah.
deliver."
He's ready.
So I thought that was fun.
That was Josh Brolin.
Then-
That was Josh Brolin who said that. He's like,
Oh, it was Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he-
thank you.
'cause
I
Josh,
can't phone this
Josh Brolin's
in.
like, crap. Like, I actually got to like show up. This sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
Then there's a lot of cool stuff with, of course, I forget the actual language of the Fremen. But David J. Peterson wrote it, built out a language as we all do in these movies now, based off snippets from the book. And he's the guy who did like Dothraki and Valyrian and like a bunch of other stuff.
Gosh, the languages are so good in Game of
And
Thrones.
it's such a mix.
Isn't
Isn't it like Arabic and Greek and Aramaic and like all
dead
sorts?
languages? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh, and,
like, what are you putting into it?
Wow.
Jewish. What language am I wanting to recall here?
Hebrew?
Yeah, Hebrew, I think, is in there.
If we're going Aramaic,
a lot of Middle
we're obviously
Eastern
going Hebrew,
stuff.
So,
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. My 4 years of Bible college coming through for you guys.
Is it Klingon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been.
Yeah.
But and everyone took it really seriously, right? Like they all learned it. And, when Paul's bouncing between English and this language, it's like all legit. Pronunciations, everything. But apparently there was this take, and this was in the interview he was doing with Chris Nolan. Denny was like, "Oh, great take." And David Peterson came over and was like, "Well, actually, I mispronounced this word. I think you're going to want to redo it." He's like, "Okay, guy, this is a fake language. Like, we're okay."
Yeah, but he owned that language. He's like, "You better say it right."
Yeah.
You said Christopher Nolan, but you meant Denny Villeneuve, right?
No, sorry. It came up in a talk between Denny and Christopher Nolan.
Got it.
They did a question, and Denny had the anecdote in there.
Funny.
So that was pretty funny.
Oh, that was another one I'd interject with. Another fun fact that I read was that there's no deleted scenes. We will never see deleted scenes.
Yes.
What do you mean?
He said if it doesn't make the film, he kills it. No one
you will never
ever see what he omits.
That's some George Lucas type crap.
Isn't that insanity?
I kind of love it.
Yeah, it's
you
cool.
get the movie you get. You don't get to fantasize about stuff.
I'll be honest, guys. I've tried to tell several brides that, and it did not go over as well.
Can I have the outtakes?
Yeah. You get
what you get. The footage.
You get what you get.
It's not like they saw you before you did it.
They're like,
edit.
you didn't even include any of the ceremony. You get what you get.
I saw Rebecca Ferguson was doing an interview, Lady Jessica, about a scene she loved, which like Stellan Skarsgård's, the Baron's like pressed up on her and she can't breathe. And she's like, that was really interesting because you learn later how it is. And she's like, that was a really cool scene. But it's got, we're never going to see it, but we know it was filmed. Whoa. And then Lady Margot's husband, was cast and filmed in a bunch of stuff. And there was a bunch of stuff with the Mentats that was filmed.
Oh,
yeah.
All gone.
Yeah. There are some
all
people.
Gone.
Denny, make a director's cut.
Yeah.
Just make a director's cut.
I think he's like, this is the director's cut.
No, it's not.
One.
There's
you
one
shut
cut.
your mouth. Make a 5.
Yeah, there's people that he had to give like honorable mention to that are like invisible in the movie that actually had lives.
We would watch a 5-hour part 2.
Yeah.
Without complaint.
But no.
It's
gone.
I would.
That's the crazy thing about it. Like,
it's over, Seth. No one will ever see it.
Because I watch these I watch these scenes and I can see the cuts.
Yeah.
I saw these cuts. I'm like, you just omitted something big.
When you'll never know.
And I didn't talk about that because I was like, but when I watched this movie, I was like, this was such a big cut.
This makes it even more funny of a fun fact because Seth is just enraged.
Oh, it's true because I was watching this and I'm like, I see why you cut it there, but you obviously filmed something else because the cut is such a big, like, harsh cut to something else.
It's gone forever.
And here's the thing: it's still 1,000 times better than the old school bad cuts where they like screw up because it's all film.
They're like, we had to get it to 126 minutes, so this is where it was.
Remember watching it this time thinking, oh, you just omitted something. Oh, you omitted something again. Because it was such an obvious like turn in plot that you could have, that it seemed like they were about to explain it and they didn't. So yeah. And it's crazy because I'm like, I still think this movie's amazing. But you could still see the moments where you're like, oh, you definitely took something out of that part. because that was
Yeah.
You didn't explain anything. You just
Does that bum you out more than the Oscars?
No, because
Well-
the fact that Denis Villeneuve will take the time to do Dune is whatever. The Oscars are stupid and it's dumb, but Denis Villeneuve is the man.
Regardless of all of the things he cut and killed.
Yeah, he is the man. I mean,
Well, that's the thing. I
disagree with him.
I did
but
not
I
feel
think he's
that.
the man.
Yeah, I did not feel those things, so that's telling.
These
You
were
don't-
deliberate choices. And for somebody who didn't read the book, it's not like we were like, oh, was he going to say something about that?
Yeah, this
is
We
maybe
didn't
where
know.
that
would've
We didn't-
gone.
We didn't see it.
Exactly right. But for those of us who did,
Nerd alert.
For those of us who did, we're like, oh, you were about to do that. I wonder if you filmed that. Like I had those
Yeah, yeah.
moments. I'm like,
Maybe he did.
I wonder if
Maybe
you
he
actually
did.
talked about the mentats because you
Yeah.
showed one.
I mean,
but you didn't talk about them, and they didn't talk about any of the guard that they like kill all of these people, and they
the Sarkar.
Sardaukar. There you go. They
I'm
don't.
never going to care to learn any of these.
But
terms.
these are the best fighters in the galaxy, and they are
And
barely.
I'll call them the fighter guys.
I
mentioned. Other than
kind of loved that it was like they, as cool as the big fight scene was, it was over instantly, right?
Yes.
It was like we got worms and we just wiped everybody out,
Yes.
and we're in the Imperial like whatever in like 2 seconds,
Yes.
and like that's how tough we are with the might of with sand power or desert power, I guess.
Well,
Not sand
and
power,
the
desert power,
Fremen-
and you're like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Because I did like
into
how
it.
Gurney was like so impressed at the Fremen that he's like, I didn't realize they were this strong. And that's kind of
Oh yeah, he's like,
in the
there's only
book-
200.
Yeah, and in the book, that's the same sort of thing. They're like, the Fremen can beat the Sardaukar. No one in the galaxy can beat the Sardaukar. How are they just? And so that moment when Paul says, "Kill all the Sardaukar and then do this," I'm like, you don't just kill the Sardaukar. That's like killing like the red guys in front of Palpatine or whatever. Like it's not just something you do. Like,
They're there for a reason.
yeah,
They
they're-
have some
they're-
training.
They're the badasses of the universe, and then
Well,
you're
they
just gonna-
wiped out the Atreides, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
they
that's
literally
not-
wiped out the
not
Atreides,
nothing.
and the Atreides can beat up the Harkonnens and like rock paper scissors. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
the
I've-
Atreides are the Harkonnens.
no, the Atreides aren't. But Paul is.
Oh.
So the Atreides aren't,
and Lady Jessica.
but Paul is.
Paul and
The
Jessica.
remaining Atreides
She is by
basically are.
name.
She is Harkonnen. She's 100% Harkonnen.
I know, but she married.
And Atreides,
So too.
but
Three.
she didn't know.
Well, she
was
didn't
Harkonnen.
marry. She's a concubine.
Yeah, she's a concubine. She's not the wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was no wife. They remained unmarried
Yep.
for political reasons.
Yep.
Anyways, I have a couple more fun facts. One,
Let's go.
and it's in the movie, there was a partial solar eclipse in 2022. And so they filmed some of the desert scenes in that. And there's a shot where they have like the second moon or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a real solar, or, solar eclipse
Yeah, it was
happening.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And I think
So
some of
that's
the
pretty
big
sweet.
stars in it were not there at the time. And so they fought certain things because somebody was gone. But like, we're going to use this because we need to
Yeah. It's pretty
capture
cool.
this.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
there was
then
a lot
I
of
watched-
like, was it golden hour filming? Like,
Yes.
very
Yes.
specific.
All the
So
lovey
pretty.
scenes
It's so pretty.
with Chani and Paul. Yeah.
So pretty.
The other thing I saw, which had a few fun facts, there's a Vanity Fair video with Hans Zimmer talking about composing.
Yes. I'm so
soundtrack.
glad you brought this up.
And
taking
the
all my
stuff
fun
I found
facts here, guys.
funny.
Oh, you have
Oh,
nothing.
sorry. You're not usually the fun fact guy. There's so many things he calls out where it's like, I saw this guy on YouTube or Facebook or something, and they just contact him. You're like, that's how Hans Zimmer's finding talent, is just contacting people. And there's a guitarist he used who he reached out to on Facebook, and the guy, like a lot of people, would be like, you're obviously some 14-year-old boy pretending to be Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, you can't really be Hans Zimmer for sure.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, I'm Hans Zimmer." And then, and then the lady who sings the big vocal theme that we get every now and again when there's kind of this big pivotal kind
Yeah.
of
That's kind of like
Lisa, yeah,
Yeah, I
Killed
think
it.
we
Lisa
nailed
nailed
that.
that, yeah.
Gaid. She was just some person a buddy found on YouTube. Again, it was just like,
Some wailing lady.
yeah. And then he's
I
like,
think
yeah,
I'm
let's use
subscribed to
her.
I like the way you yodel at a high pitch.
Yeah,
or
but-
Oh,
whatever
and
you're
then
doing.
and then the
Sounds
only other
sad.
one, the other one from that is talked about he and Denny never really butted heads, except maybe over the quality of a wine.
That's great.
That's my fun facts.
And
I'm
you
done.
didn't bring up the fact that he actually invented a couple instruments as well.
Oh yeah, he did reference Home Depot a couple times.
Yes. Like he was like, we got to get new sounds. So I'm making my own instruments.
PVC pipes.
That
and
was so
Well, he's like Home
great.
Depot's got pipes, and so you can make this instrument longer. Well, and apparently, I mean, it's a cool interview, but he talked about somebody was like, "Oh, it'd be really cool if this instrument played that," but it's like this instrument doesn't have all those keys on it, so we need to then make a version of that instrument that does have all those keys, so we can play this theme. And it's like, that's cool. You forget kind of how mad scientisty some of these folks are.
Oh, they're
It's
dorks.
not like
They're all
I
dorks.
know music instruments that exist and I will use them. It's like, no, that's not enough.
Yeah.
We need
This
brand
one's
new
not doing-
otherworldly instruments.
Yeah, this isn't what I'm thinking of. Make a
And then
new one.
also, even though the love theme in this is wonderful, apparently Hans Zimmer is terrified of composing love themes, and it's
Oh, that's
still like, I still haven't
hilarious.
done a good one. I still got to figure out how to do a good one.
That's so good. A couple more things just for funsy. The cameras that were used were the Arri Alexa 65 and the Mini LF for all you dorks out there who wants to know that. And they only use spherical lenses, just so you know. So no
Pentagonal.
pentagonal.
They left the pentagonal ones out, you guys.
No, that means no anamorphic lenses is what that means.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Why'd they do that, Seth?
I don't know actually. I just
Octagonal?
I assume honestly because you don't want the flares. I assume it's a control thing. You don't want because what anamorphic does when you're shooting golden hour and other things, you just get these flares that go across the screen, which are awesome and look cinematic. But when you're already building a perfect world of sandworms and desert mouses, desert kangaroos,
You don't need any other shapes.
you don't need more chromatic aberrations in your shot. Thank you very much.
Absolutely none.
Absolutely none. The places where did you say the actual places where they were filming?
Abu
Pat?
Dhabi.
Yes, Jordan and Abu Dhabi, which is crazy.
A lot
Obviously.
of sand
A lot of
over
sand.
there.
They handpicked Florence Pugh and Austin Butler for the roles. Obviously, both kill it.
She's
Florence, I don't
great
know
for
how-
such a small role.
She is great, and she almost gets more play, like in the movie than the book. Not really, because like obviously she's talking the book, but it makes it in the movie feel like they're gonna get together, but in the book they're still enemies, even though they get married.
Well,
Can I say
he did overthrow his dad.
the one critique I have about this?
Only one. Okay, go for it.
There's one thing.
Not enough Christopher Walken. Not enough. I
Opposite.
hear you.
It's the
Oh,
opposite.
You don't like Christopher Walken.
Why is Christopher Walken in this movie? You could have had anybody be the Emperor guy. Anybody.
Yeah.
It's not Christopher Walken's fault. He was in More Cowbell. Stop punishing Christopher.
I like
Walken.
him.
I
I
love
like him in
him.
it.
I love Colonel Angus. I do. But I don't get it. I don't get why they put him in this.
Yeah, he played,
Everyone else
it's kind of
great
distracting.
fit.
That's true. I'll give you that. It's a little
Stellan
distracting.
Skarsgård, amazing in this.
And he's not. And Christopher Walken isn't scary because the
Well,
irony
he's
is,
a weakling in this. He's portrayed as like weak, doesn't
I
have
feel
any
like that's
ideas for
intentional.
himself.
Yeah,
He's
probably
just
intentional. But
spineless and has
The Emperor
almost
has no clothes.
dialogue. So why would you put such a important actor, like recognizable face in that role? That's the thing. It's like he's so recognizable, you expect him to do something else, or you expect more from him, or
You wanted him
Yeah.
to dance.
you want him to dance. You want
Dance
him,
on the ceiling.
yeah. But he
It's
doesn't.
a great.
I
it's a
didn't
great
mind
movie.
it. I see your point. I didn't mind it because I think to me there is this like,
It's a
what's the
small
emperor?
critique.
This
I
has to be like this familiar face as an audience member to be like, oh, this is the emperor. Like this famous person is clearly in charge.
Like Jeff Goldblum is the wizard.
Yeah.
Spoiler
Exactly.
alert! Come on, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure if you saw a movie poster or a
Or
clip.
interviews, which I just I did watch the Golden Globes. I'm
You
like,
did
oh,
watch the guy that does the voices at the Golden Globes?
Yes.
Oh, he's so good.
They had who did he do a little speech with? It was not good. The
No,
Golden
it
Globe
wasn't.
speeches are so bad because they're a little drunk and it's like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
And-
the
and
Wicked
as
cast
Seth Rogen
alone was
said,
just loaded the whole time. Was what I was noticing. Like
Seth
they knew
Rogen
they
was like, "Why are we
weren't winning."
3/4?"
Seth
So
Rogen was
weird.
funny though. Seth Rogen and
He was good, but it
and,
was
what's her
still
name
like-
from
It was still so odd. didn't
for
like it.
sure. No, it's for sure. Yeah.
What was your last topic for us, Seth? Is this an Oscar worthy
Yeah.
movie?
What's it gonna win? What's it not gonna win? I don't know what's gonna win, guys. I don't know what it's gonna actually.
I think
What's it going to get
production
nominated
design
for?
or sound design, it will get nominated for. both of those.
Cinematography,
It'll
probably
get
costume
nominated
design
for
as
best,
well.
It'll get nominated for Best Picture.
score.
It won't win.
Yes, it will get
obviously.
nominated. It won't win Best Picture,
For
although
sure.
I could argue easily that it should.
Mhm.
Because here's
Yes.
here's my big takeaway. There is nothing, and this is where Denis getting snubbed is preposterous. Everything about this is meticulously done and well done.
Mhm.
And if Best Director doesn't get nominated for that, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, every element of this movie is cohesive and powerful and epic and awesome.
Yeah, I would say
What are we doing?
adapted screen or adapted, from whatever. I think
Yeah, adapted
that
screenplay.
I
Should
think
be.
that should for sure get there.
And you know,
I think it will win a lot of, or it will be nominated for basically every special category thing.
Mhm.
yeah.
VFX, sound design, blah 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 blah, all that stuff.
Mhm.
It probably will only win like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, probably
I think adapted screenplay might be it.
I don't think it'll win that.
You
Because-
don't?
No, I wish it should,
It's.
but I don't think it'll win.
I hope.
I saw a list that it was in the like second
Honestly,
tier of maybe
so
ones
guys-
that would be that.
Is our real hot take Dune 2 should win the Best Picture? Is that our real hot take? Because that's not a bad hot take.
Thus far,
That's a
100%.
If we're gonna back
We-
up,
Without
if we're gonna
having
back
seen-
up Oppenheimer, then yes,
Let's
it
do
should.
this. Let's do this right
but
now.
we're not gonna back it up.
We haven't seen a lot of the movies, but we have seen some movies
Two.
from 2024.
We have
What-
seen. I've seen
I've
two.
seen
But no,
at least two
let's
of
talk
them.
about all the movies we've seen this year. What was your favorite? Because Pat, you've seen some movies. I haven't seen as many as you, but I've seen some movies. If you were picking your favorite movies of 2024, are you going to pick Wicked over Dune 2? Because I know you saw Wicked. Would I pick Civil
They're in
War?
different categories.
Would I pick League of
Not at the
Ungentlemanly
Oscars, Mariah.
Warfare.
Warfare, which was really fun, by the way. Not Guy Ritchie's
Really
best, but really fun movie.
But really fun. Good
Um,
return to form.
Would I
I'd say.
pick? Would I pick?
Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2. That was great.
That's up there.
Not as good as one, but it was still great. Yeah. So right now, Dune 2 is for me the best picture of 2024. Right now.
I don't think I've seen a lot of new movies, so yeah, it's the best one of 2024.
I feel like
As far as Oscar movie nominations should go, I loved Wicked
but not Oscar
but-
nom.
Wicked's
on a-
very fun.
on an emotional level, not on a movie watcher.
And the irony of Wicked
Not on a movie snob level.
winning the award at one of the Golden Globes is almost like a burn. It's almost
Well, I
a
loved
burn
Wicked
to
like
win
I
that.
loved Barbie. I didn't think
And
they
that's
were
the
going to win, but
same
I was
award Barbie
emotionally
won.
affected
And
by
that's the
these.
same movie. That's the same award Barbie won last year.
Yeah.
They both won the popular movie award.
Yeah.
And the joke is, didn't you win already with money?
But they're so good. They deserved an extra
It should
award
be
for being
called
so
something
good.
else, like cultural moment or something, or cultural icon. Not like, hey, what's the most popular movie this year? We don't need an award for that. We have that. It's called the box office.
Well, I think there should be like a big high five award or something.
Yeah, the critics.
Because it doesn't mean that they don't
the
deserve
Nickelodeon
recognition.
Award.
They
The
just don't
Nickelodeon Teen
necessarily
Award.
get
Yeah, it's
the
a crowd
Oscar.
pleaser.
Critics'
Yeah.
Choice Award.
Yeah, I could easily argue for this as Best Picture. Again, I haven't seen. I think there's some other ones. I think I'll really like Conclave, maybe The Brutalist. But like,
I'll probably like him too.
this feels so complete as a movie. You can't really point to anything outside of Mariah pointing to, the
And
saint
that's just
of actors.
that's just picking at something
Yeah,
because there's something to pick at.
you're picking some nit.
And
But,
I
like,
pick
it's
at a lot
so
of stuff.
Good. It's so
Not
good.
really a diss.
Yeah, no.
It looks amazing. The script is great. The performances are awesome. The VFX are great. The sound, the music, like it's all so good
It's a package
that you could go, this is the best picture.
Okay.
Easily, you
Here's
could
the
argue
question then. If it could only win one Oscar, which Oscar should it win?
I guess I'd want it to win Best Picture because that would
because it's the package.
pull in all those people.
Yeah, I think I might agree with that.
I'm going to go with adapted screenplay here.
But I think that's what
think
it
that
could
is
win
A challenging one.
because I don't
right?
think it's going to win Best Picture.
The only other one would
No,
be
it won't.
would be composer Hans Zimmer winning 2 years in a row for Dune 1 and Dune 2 because he should be able to win for Dune 1 and Dune 2
But he is disqualified
because he won for Dune 1
because he
last year.
reused some. No, because he reused some of the score elements for this
It's the
one.
same theme. That's right.
Sure.
There's some rule about whatever percentage, which there is. I think he said something about like careful, because now you're dictating how people need to score
Oh, 100%.
movies,
No,
and it's like this is part two. Like
yeah,
I should.
you should.
Don't give me
score it
no
this
reason
way.
to be angry at the Oscars. I've got too many
Right.
already. I've got too many
Right.
already. All
But yeah,
right.
it's definitely worthy of Oscar love. It won't get nearly as much as it should, but
Yep.
I hope they're at least in the room.
Yep.
You got-
Agreed.
You guys heard it here first. Best movie of the year.
Let's
Dune
watch.
2.
Let's watch more than one though, and talk
Until
about
we've seen something else.
it. This is the
It's
winner.
best
what?
movie of the year.
I do have to say I got to be careful because last year I was listening to our review of Martin Scorsese's Killer Flower Moon. I was way too nice. I watched that again. Oh, I
It's-
can't. I
It's
was
a really
so mad.
lengthy rubbish.
I read the book and I get even more angry because it's like you had this opportunity with this great story to shed light on something that should be shed light on, and you made this long, boring movie. Shame on you, Martin Scorsese. Shame on you. Because, talking with people, even in the native community, they're like, come on, you're not helping us out here if no one watches it.
Yeah. Or Lily. I feel like Lily was done a disservice.
For sure. She didn't win because it was too long and boring.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Dune 2's dope, though.
Anywho.
Dune 2's dope.
dope.
Good
Guys,
job,
it's
Denny.
award season.
And cast and team.
Thanks for listening, guys. It's been a trip. We've gone around the galaxy and back.
Yeah. Let's do another one.
Let's do another one. I think the next one. Are we picking the next one? Or we just doing Wicked next week.
Well, I think we have two very accessible ones: Amelia Perez,
Perez
and
or Wicked. So
And
one of those two's coming next
Or
week.
Conclave.
what can we watch
Where are you
that
at?
on?
Peacock.
Conclave. We can talk offline.
All right.
Doesn't
So,
have to be recorded.
anyways, guys, my name's
Yeah,
Seth. I'm Seth Atreides.
I'm Mariah Harkonnen.
Yeah, you are.
I'm Pat Lisan Al Gaib.
I thought you were going to be the mentat.
He's gonna
that'd
read
be
the
better.
books.
That's good. So you better read the books. Read the books,
Nice,
guys. And because this is
I already watched the movie.
when
Well, I
you
need to read the book for.
They're just so thick looking. It's like, oh.
they do kind of get weird, and they get real weird later. Like, subscribe. This is How to Be a Movie Snob. Keep watching movies. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.